Okay. This movie was Kino, okay.
You know, last night, Sophia and I were talking, and as we're kind of going into the end of this, and we're like, you know, we're putting a lot of trust in these guys. They could make us look stupid.
Like, we've been blindsided by everything the past 2 years. It's been a lot to figure out who can we trust, really.
It's a real concern, and, you know, I recognize that, like, you have contempt for what I believe, like, in terms of my political viewpoints. Like, you don't, I think in any other situation, you probably would be protesting my office. You're just so far left.
First of all, it's kind of mean.
Yeah, it is.
That's kind of mean that you would think I would have contempt for your views.
Yeah.
Why would you think that?
Do you have contempt for my views, Steve?
And in the key House races, Republican Adam Kinzinger cruised in that 11th district Republican primary. He grabbed 64% of the vote.
The 32-year-old Air Force pilot also received strong support from the Tea Party in his landslide win.
Okay, that's a fair question. But what you're essentially asking me is why would I want to make a movie about you, a guy whose political views I oppose?
Adam Kinzinger.
Adam Kinzinger. He's a real up-and-coming star.
Yes, Adam.
Mr. President, thank you. And just from the House perspective, I want to say Anna's is still currently serving guard member. You're my commander-in-chief. He's doing a great job as secretary.
Great job. He is doing a great job. Thank you, Adam, very much. Appreciate it. Handsome guy.
I mean, normally I want nothing to do with you.
You voted with the president 93% of the time.
Yep.
So
well, I
that
agree.
seems like you're... No, it's so fine. I'm just curious.
And then, lo and behold...
Frankly, we did win this election.
When the president denies the election result, all of a sudden there's this guy from my home state, you, who stands up and says, fuck that.
The truth is that the election was not stolen, and it's important for our party to take inventory of that and go out and win the next election instead of continuing the big lie.
And then after the president literally tries to overthrow the government,
Down to the Capitol.
you were the first legislator, you were the first one of either party to invoke the 25th Amendment and say, this guy's a maniac and needs to be forcibly removed from office.
All indications are that the president has become unmoored, not just from his duty, or even his oath, but from reality itself.
Then you voted for impeachment.
How does it feel to be a pariah within your own party?
So yeah, that's why I wanted to make this movie. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't conflicted, right? Because to me, a courageous Republican is still a Republican.
I think it's not about a political view. It's about what it is to turn against everything you've ever belonged to because of some red line you can't cross.
So out of all the cinematic...
The saddest part was that viewership dropped during the hearings because it was the NBA Finals or some shit. The real issue is, it's a thing I've talked about a few times, is that there's just so little understanding of the actual process of government that it's hard to even know why, like, a thing is bad in the first place, which is nobody knows how any part of the government works, basically.
Like visionaries who wanted to make this film, why did you say yes to me?
Hot Tub Time Machine is the thing that sold me. It's a cinematic masterpiece. How can such a serious filmmaker like Hot Tub Time Machine not make me look good?
Well, right. That's really good logic.
Thank you.
So we've been shooting together for over a year.
Yeah, a lot over a year. It feels like 4 years.
They need, and the fact that
through, the appropriations process.
Real negotiating yet between the two chambers.
And, We're happy to take a look.
Hello, this is Congressman Kinzinger's office. How may I help you?
Okay, welcome into the office. Turn this open. So this is our front room. And then in here, this is where folks from our legislative team sit. Our Deputy Chief of Staff, Morris, not here working.
So you're asking me for the statement before I even give out the statement?
Maura's a loud typer, but when I swear to God when she's being recorded, she's like just a little bit louder.
You think so?
You can feel the emphasis, yeah.
Is that quiet enough for you, Paul? Is it too loud?
So when I joined the office, I would ignore Maura's emails because she was mean to me.
That's not true.
But I would always do what she asked. I would just never respond.
Well, Mara could see Paul's computer, so if
I
he
said,
opens
yeah.
an email.
I would see he saw it, close out of it. I was like, well, he clearly ignored me. That's quite rude.
Rule number 9 was in response to me suggesting that in some circumstances tickling would be okay. But this was a reminder that under no circumstance can you tickle any coworkers.
How's this going?
Good. It's actually good. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not on my nerves yet or anything.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good time. It's funny, though, because at the beginning, I don't think your chief of staff was thrilled to see me in your office.
You know, I think in Austin's perspective, anytime there's a camera around, you're on defense.
Don't film anything.
I mean, you made it very clear from the very beginning that you didn't agree with my politics. You called yourself basically a communist. You outed yourself as.
Progressive, but sure.
All right. Thanks. You know, when we were filming that first day, keep in mind the mindset to that point, I was still considering running for governor or Senate. The decisions I made to speak out against Trump or to even vote for impeachment, I never really had a debate on that in my own mind. I knew I had to do it. But when I voted that way, naively, I thought there's no way people aren't going to wake up from this. I remember the day after January 6th, everybody was kind of waking up at that point.
The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters. He should have immediately denounced the mob when he saw what was unfolding. These facts require immediate action by President Trump.
President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day. No question about it.
I called it was like Saturday morning when you had a giant party at your house Friday night and now you got chickens flying around. You have a bad headache. You're only wearing a shirt and you're like, what did we do last night? That's where I thought the party was.
Hey, so your thinking, even at that moment, was the insurrection and the attempt to overthrow the government in a coup d'etat that included 140 Republicans voting to not certify the election. You thought that just might have been a crazy bender and that they were going to wake up and get their shit together.
Yep. You're going to wake up, you're going to deal with the hangover, and you're going to gut it out and drink water, right? Donald Trump was a non-entity. Nobody even showed up at Andrews when he left. But you can always fix a hangover by starting to drink again. And that's when Kevin McCarthy goes to Mar-a-Lago. That changed everything. Because Donald Trump had been disgraced until that moment. Kevin McCarthy was the minority leader. And Kevin told us, I just happened to be down there in Palm Beach and he wanted to meet, and I'm not going to say no to a former president. Bullshit. I knew at that moment what would happen.
If you didn't know the TV footage was a video from January the 6th, you would actually think.
That was fucking wild. He was a national disgrace when he left for his last presidency. Yeah, there were a lot of people. This is why you saw the wind change a little bit in conservative media, even, like for the Daily Wire especially. I think a lot of people thought that Trump wasn't coming back ever after J6. Well, because, who runs again for election after losing to somebody,
I think it was a normal tourist visit.
The former president, was he responsible for what happened?
And it was like the first time that there were a ton of Republicans who were a little bit black-pilled on the Trump stuff. Or I don't know if I would say black-pilled, but we're like, ooh, this is not a good look.
If you didn't know the TV footage was a video from January the 6th, you would actually think it was a normal tourist visit.
The former president, was he responsible for what happened?
No, of course not.
You think about it, if you actually come to grips with what's happened, That's going to take some soul searching. It's much better to just numb the pain. It's easier.
After careful consideration, I've made the decision to oppose the House Democrats' slanted and unbalanced proposal for another commission to study the events of January the 6th.
Just to torture this analogy, it seems like you would be a great candidate to start Republicans Anonymous.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? Like you could have, like, hi, my name is Jim Jordan.
No, but then we're just feeding into your little left wing, like, oh, every Republican is just a Democrat waiting to find his wings.
Oh, definitely.
Bullshit. I mean, it's a funny analogy, but in that moment, I felt very isolated.
With great solemnity and sadness, I'm announcing that the House will be establishing a select committee on the January 6th insurrection. It is imperative that we establish the truth of that day. The select committee will investigate and report on the facts and the causes of the attack, and it will report recommendations for the prevention of any future attack.
The resolution is adopted.
After you were the only Republican besides Cheney to vote for the creation of a select committee, at that point, are you just all in? Because you don't know you're on the committee yet, right?
No, and I don't want to be on the committee.
Really?
I didn't want to be on the committee.
He was not supposed to be there. Adam was not supposed to be in that group of people.
You know, I voted for it because it was the right thing to do. And I start hearing rumors that Nancy Pelosi is going to appoint a Republican to sit on a Democratic seat. Very brilliant of her. And I was like, please, dear Jesus, not me.
And I remember we had dinner in DC that night. And I remember we both talked about it, of like, should he do it?
I don't want to do it. I don't. I also know I can't say no if I'm asked. And frickin' Nancy Pelosi announces it before she even calls me, by the way. Kind of pissed me off.
Will you be appointing more Republicans to the committee like Congressman Adam Kinzinger?
That would be my plan.
I wake up Sunday morning to a missed call from her at like 5 a.m. Like I'm going to be up.
So when will that be announced?
Perhaps after I speak to Adam Kinzinger.
A lot changed that day.
Illinois' Adam Kinzinger.
Adam Kinzinger joins Congresswoman Liz Cheney on the 9-member panel,
Who lost her job in Republican House leadership for taking a similar stance.
The first committee hearing is set for Tuesday, where Capitol police officers will testify about their personal experiences.
My staff, by the way, is telling me, like, you're not going to do this, right? This is suicidal. And they are right.
Action! Everybody come up here, rework.
I was with you the day that the final redistricting map comes up.
Was that when we were out shooting the commercial?
Now, Kinzinger has served 6 terms in Congress, but newly approved congressional maps put Congressman Adam Kinzinger in the same district as Darren LaHood.
That new district voted 60% for President Trump, a deep red pro-Trump district.
They drew me in a very unfavorable district with a kind of crazy MAGA guy, and I knew there was no way I could run in a primary and win.
Well, it's just a sensitive, I mean, we're in a sensitive topic right now, and so we don't want information to kind of get out that we're not ready to get out.
This is off the record.
Yeah, you know, I got it.
I'd say we're fine.
Well, there's no good timing.
There's no good time. Yeah.
If you're not going to run, there's no good timing.
Yeah.
If we announce this week, you're no longer part of the party and you're no longer influential.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that very bad news came in the middle of you doing like 1,000 takes for a political ad about finding common ground.
Some leaders in Washington have forgotten the purpose of democracy. Some leaders in Washington have focused.
That was a rough day for you.
It could be an umpire.
What?
It could be an umpire.
Hey, if I don't see you guys,
thank you,
you're
Adam.
awesome.
That was awesome.
Seriously,
Thank you,
Adam.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate you being here.
Adam Kinzinger, perhaps the most high-profile Republican lawmaker in Illinois,
announced he won't seek re-election. He's one of only 10 Republican House members who voted to impeach former President Trump.
Mr. Trump responded with a quick statement taking credit, apparently referencing the Republicans that voted against him earlier this year, simply saying 2 down, 8 to go.
About Friday's podcast, we talked about doing you explaining your decision. Do you still want to do that Friday, or do you want to? You can always do it via
Probably do it at
Zencastr.
home.
Okay.
It was great. It worked.
I don't.
It worked better than it
I wish
ever
you'd asked
had.
for our opinion because I would have told you.
It worked.
Hello, friends.
Hello, sir.
It's amazing. Like, everybody now is telling me how much they're sad I'm leaving. I'm like, why the hell didn't you guys say anything prior to this moment? But we saw 14 months, and I want you guys to know, obviously, I'll help support you in anything you want to do in terms of next steps. Love to keep you here as long as we can.
Well, just like talking about priorities, is there anything that us as a staff and in this office can shift any focus to, or things that you want to accomplish here in the next 14 months?
I think that, if we can leave here with a bit of a legacy on democracy preservation, like the history books would be kind. It's a worthy fight, but I think it's a battle that we have to have a bigger forum for it. Well, thank you, everybody. Welcome back to Country First Podcast. It's been a heck of a year. One of the things I really wanted to talk about to end the season here is just, why did I make the decision not to run again? After the 6th, I thought that people would say, we're done with this. This is getting ridiculous. And what's been worrisome to me as much as anything is just watching that that's not happening. I'm not ashamed of the fact that I'm a conservative Republican. I haven't been the one that's changed. The Republican Party has changed. But as I look at moving on to the next chapter, it is not the end of a story. I think it's the beginning of a great story. When people look back and read the history books, the January 6th committee is going to be noted in there as the movement that changed the trajectory of politics and saved this country and saved self-governance. We refuse to be the first generation to leave our kids a country worse off than the one we inherited. So God bless you all, and remember to keep putting country first.
Nice.
Boom, done.
It's crazy how I think the baby recognizes your voice.
Really, to see like, yo.
He wouldn't stop kicking.
Look, it's fine to make the decision to sacrifice everything, but if it's for no purpose, that makes it pointless, right?
But I think the stakes of failure for you were hiding. You were hiding from this film.
Yeah, I was probably hiding it from myself too. I don't think that's something I could think about or come to grips with because there was so much at stake, both for me in terms of that sacrifice, but also, for the country and the party that I still, at that time, liked.
Some Republicans have been saying that the GOP should play ball on this committee. You could get the three.
Who was that? Adam and Liz?
Well,
aren't they kind of like Pelosi Republicans?
Kevin McCarthy is technically my Republican leader. And to call, members of Congress by childish names like Donald Trump used to do, I guess is just kind of part of it. Honestly, I'm less mad at Donald Trump than I am at Kevin McCarthy. So Trump I'm mad at. I don't want to gloss that over, right? He's the reason all this happened. But he's just nuts, right? It's not like, that's not an excuse, but it's not a surprise. Kevin McCarthy is the surprise. I mean, look, McCarthy and I were pretty close. I met him early in 2009 before I was elected. And he would invite us to dinners all the time. He's a great politician. I mean, the guy made it to the number 3 position in the House Republicans in 6 years.
And Kevin could be a very charming guy. I could see why they were friends. And I remember when we got engaged, Kevin offered to officiate the wedding.
What?
Yeah.
And of course, after the election day, it was all different.
And President Trump won this election, so everyone who's listening, do not be quiet. Do not be silent about this. We cannot allow this to happen before our very eyes. We unite together. You don't need to be...
On January 1st, the Republican conference had a big phone call all about certifying the election.
Welcome to the conference calling center.
Kevin said, I will be voting against certification, which actually shocked me. Because even to that point, I'm like, well, Kevin McCarthy knows the right thing to do. So I was the first caller in the queue to go.
Your line is open.
And I go, Kevin, you have convinced these people that are trusting us. You've convinced them that the election was stolen. There's going to be violence. Like, you have to tell people, like, this is on you. And he just said, okay, Adam.
Operator, next question.
That phone call was the last time I ever exchanged a word with him.
I saw that stupid fucking Hassan Piker post. Just don't even engage with these people. They're fucking retarded. Where they're trying to blame, like, the Democratic Party for that war powers resolution thing because 4 Dems voted against it and, like, 7,000 every single fucking Republican did. And they're like, well, it's the Democrats. It's fucking retarded.
Capital injury! Multiple capital injuries!
I was electrocuted again and again and again with a taser. I'm sure I was screaming, but I don't think I could even hear my own voice. I said as loud as I could manage, I've got kids.
That first hearing that was with the Capitol Police, I'm pregnant at home. I'm crying and crying. Like, the moment they started talking, I just couldn't stop crying. It just hit so much.
They've got the gallows set outside this Capitol building. It's time to start fucking using
And
them.
pulled me back to that day.
Start making a list, put all those names down, and we start hunting them down one by one.
They meant hunting, like,
January
elect them out of
6th,
office, by the way.
We had agreed that I was going to stay home and that his staff was not coming in, that it was just him. So I was sitting in the living room, obviously watching the news, and I'm like, oh my God, they're heading towards the Capitol. They're starting to push the barrier.
This is now effectively a riot.
1349 hours declaring it a riot.
So I go online and turn on the Statuary Hall live footage. And the moments, like, someone walked into the frame, that's where I guess I freaked out. I'm like, they're coming to get everyone. And yeah, Adam is probably a target. I was realizing what it meant to be a politician's spouse, and that the threats are real.
Until then, I had never seen anyone physically assault Capitol Police or MPD, let alone witness mass assaults being perpetrated on law enforcement officers.
So the first hearing, there was so much tragedy and sadness and defeat in their stories, when in reality, I owe them my husband's life. And I text Adam, remind them they won.
I yield back, Mr.
That was like a second or two before it was his time to give the opening speech.
Kinzinger. Thank you to our witnesses. I never expected today to be quite as emotional for me as it has been. I've talked to a number of you and gotten to know you. I think it's important to tell you right now, though. You guys may, like, individually feel a little broken. You guys all talk about the effects you have to deal with, and, you know, you talk about the impact of that day. But you guys won. You guys held.
since she's here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, this just in, Adam Kinzinger has won a Best Actor award. Check it out.
You know, you talk about the impact of that day. But you guys won.
Did he just bite his lip?
You guys held. You know, democracies are not defined.
He's going for broke.
By our bad days.
You know what? He needs a bubble bath, some red wine, and a bar of chocolate.
Reports last night that Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois had been seen crying again. Members of Congress are technically speaking sent to Washington to vote and not to weep. Tonight we have an update on that. Congressman Kinzinger has been spotted crying again, according to our sources, in a place where you rarely see tears, in Waffle House. You're seeing the Waffle House location on your screen. If you look closer, you will see Adam Kinzinger clearly distraught, crying inside a restaurant that serves waffles.
Hey, you little cocksucker. Are you Les Cheney's fag hag? You two cock-sucking little bitches. We're gonna get you. Coming to your house, son.
Love you, Kinzinger. I'm so glad you're leaving because you're a piece of shit. And there's my fucking message for you.
Wrath of the Lord God Almighty come upon you, your health, your family, your home, your livelihood. And I pray, if it be God's will, that you suffer.
Wait till we're outside your fucking house, you traitor. We're gonna line you up on a wall and take care of all your traitorous asses.
I think as the hearings ramp up, people are just gonna continue berating our office.
You son of a bitch. You gave 200.
I mean, over the course of the last 2 weeks, obviously his name gets out there more, and they just call and they call and they call.
Congressman Kinzinger's office, how can I help you?
We have brand new interns too, and so there have been a lot of conversations between me, Luke, the interns on how to deal with those.
Congressman Kinzinger's office, how can I help you?
Just expressing to them that, look, this is gonna like slowly, it can completely break down your psyche. Like you might feel great, and then a month in, you might just go home and start crying and you have no idea why. But it's because for 12 hours a day, you're hearing somebody call you a fucking idiot, a pussy, a traitor, that they're coming for you.
People are getting increasingly hostile.
And a little more scary.
I hope somebody like him kills your nasty wife.
That one's going to Capitol Police. Let's make sure that goes to district staff too. Yeah.
I'm a pretty sensitive person.
We all have panic buttons under our desks.
Also didn't have a lot of experience, like, on the phone.
We had those checked, make sure they operate well.
I think it might be a generational thing.
The Capitol Police came in at the beginning of the week, and they're like, we're gonna check on you once every hour.
No, Andrew, I think there were like a couple of times, I don't know if you saw me, I was just sitting there crying.
I brought you tissues.
I couldn't believe that people would treat strangers like that.
We load up.
No, we do. He literally has a closet full of tissues.
Some family drama for Illinois Congressman Adam Kinzinger. This handwritten letter obtained by the New York Times was sent to Kinzinger from 11 family members.
After saying Kinzinger is going against his Christian principles and has joined the devil's army, the letter goes on to say, President Trump is not perfect, but neither are you or any of us for that matter. It is not for us to judge or be judged, but he is Christian. It is now most embarrassing, that is underlined 3 times, to us that we are related to you. Kinzinger's cousin spoke to the New York Times and said, quote, I want Adam to be shunned.
I honestly would never have dreamed that my family could be so crass and cruel. That bothered me.
One of my college friends wrote me and said, I don't like Adam anymore. And I just wanted to answer, why tell me that? You don't have to like Adam, but you also don't have to tell his mother that you don't like him. Okay, sandwiches are finished. I don't know how many I have, but that's enough. And
Why is this one over here?
Oh, you can eat that one.
I don't want to until I know why it's over here.
Because I dropped it on my foot.
Oh, yeah.
You can have it, though.
Good call.
Any of your cousins who wrote the letter, have you talked to them
No.
in person?
It's awkward.
I really don't think about it anymore at all. Except for when I was making out the list. of who to invite to the shower.
Hi, guys. Hey, sweetheart. How are you?
It's so nice to see everybody. And I'm Shalise. If you don't remember me, I think most people know me. So, and this is Sophia and the beautiful little baby. Hello. Dear Father, thank you so much for allowing us all to get here today safely and to celebrate little Christian Adam. And we want to pray that the remainder of her pregnancy will be completely uneventful in a wonderful way.
Those are cool. I'm so scared. Like, at pee diaper, I'll be fine. Poop diapers. Because, like, all my buddies that have kids now, they're like, let me tell you about blowouts. And I'm like, oh,
Their
like,
packs. I know. You'll be
you just
fine.
dip them in the sink or what? You just leave it, like, tie a butt bag or something to it.
What the fuck is a blowout? I think sometimes, like, a poopy diaper is just, like, the poop things on the diaper or whatever. Sometimes when you open it, though, it's like, it looks like a fucking nuclear explosion. I don't know why or what changes it or why it's one or another, but it's like, that's when, like, you go to open it and it's, like, almost, like, down their leg a little bit. And you're like, holy shit, what are you doing over here, man?
Now I'm taking the loot.
Oh, that's my gas, I guess.
Okay, so we got all the stuff today, and then tonight I have the gala.
It's gonna be a good day.
Yeah. It's always a good day. It's a good day in America.
Please use this elevator for members of Congress.
My wife and I went and saw Dune. It's the first movie we've seen in probably 2.5 years in the theater, or since the Rona. Great friggin' movie. There was the old, like, movie in the 80s that was like these worms that would eat people. But the new Doom's like, I don't know if it's gonna be like a trilogy or 2 or something.
What the fuck is the third Doom movie?
I think it sounds fine.
Fine. I'm not going for fine, pal.
Great.
You can't just go from fine to great.
And he's certainly not going to tell us the truth. But the reason we don't need to do that is because it's totally clear as a matter of objective evidence what that was. I think it's useful for us to think about what the difference is in the charge of our committee. Okay, we want to tell the events of the day, and he clearly plays the central role there.
So you've talked about, the value of trust and honesty. And if you don't have that with your constituents, you're not doing your job, even if you're telling them what they don't want to hear.
Yeah.
If you're not doing that with each other, with your colleagues here, you're not doing your job. And you put it into a conversation about, we're better than this. We're better than what the public discourse has become. We're better than the tribalism that we see. What if we're wrong about that?
See you, man.
I like this idea.
Is this still going?
So somewhere you can watch this for free? Yeah, he uploaded the whole thing to YouTube today. That's why we're watching it. I'll link it in chat if you want. You should. I will link it. You should link your friends and your mega fucking losers in your life.
I think I'm getting one.
Well, we had quite a long labor. Actually, Sophia had quite a long labor. But now, Mom's doing good.
We're getting back to normal.
We are getting back to normal. We are now new parents to one Christian Adam Kinzinger. Hello, Christian. Say hi to everybody.
The RNC will be voting on a resolution to censure Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger for their involvement in the investigation into January 6th.
Resolution to formally censure Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and to no longer support them as members of the Republican Party.
All of those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All of those opposed signify by saying no. The ayes have it, and the 5 resolutions are adopted. Thank you, Richard.
We have the warm water ready for the bath.
Okay. Good job. Dude, he's gonna eat the whole thing. Should I just let him?
Let's maybe pull it out, Yen.
All right.
You
We'll
look
give
just
you to
like
Mom,
Daddy.
and we'll figure out how this thing will go down.
Come on, Mama.
Did you know ahead of time that they were going to kick you out of the party, or did it come as a surprise when suddenly they announced it, when the bill?
No, I didn't see any of it coming, but for me, it's like they're the ones that should be ashamed. You are so overcome with like this like childish anger that you can't control because Liz and I make it uncomfortable for you. It just reveals the truth of how screwed up this all is.
I mean, not surprising to me, because they're Republicans. But now I'm just trying to understand why you feel so loyal to this party in the first place.
We saw things that you can look back now and say, this is so logical where he's gone.
Yeah.
You know, when he was 5 years old, campaigning for the mayor of Jacksonville, Florida.
We were driving home from church one day, and I remember seeing a yard sign. It was hot pink, because it was the 80s. And I just asked my parents about it. That guy's running for mayor and blah, blah. And I was just hooked. I was hooked on the fanfare of it at first.
Governor of the state of Illinois, Jim Edgar.
When we came up here and lived in McLean County, his involvement with the Republican Party at the time of Jim Edgar.
Jim Edgar was the governor of Illinois.
Did he go to jail?
No, he was one of the ones that didn't.
Some people might say I'm a little dull.
He dressed as Jim Edgar for Halloween.
I was 12 when that happened, 12 years of age. I also set up a Republican election headquarters in my bedroom, and I pretended like and played election headquarters. You know, come on by and get a sign. But it was in my room, so just my parents coming by.
He's been serious about this.
Yeah.
For a long time.
That was so stupid.
I remember when he would go out and after it would rain, he'd put out all these political signs.
And go dry them off.
And he'd get on his bike as soon as the rain was over with a cloth, and he'd go and wipe off the rain off of every sign.
That was Adam.
Yep, that happened. What is he doing?
You were in a debate club? So what'd you debate?
Abortion in 7th grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what side did you take?
Pro-life side. What would you think?
I had to ask.
I was a Republican. I am a Republican. Well, yeah, who knows? I'm a something.
You're
But
a something.
Yeah, I'm a something.
How did you choose a political party so young?
You know, my parents were Republican, so, you know, you're naturally inclined to that. Ronald Reagan was president, you know, he was a pretty inspirational figure.
But
I can't believe you probably hated Reagan. Like, 3 people in this country hated Reagan. Like, then you hated him, but then now, like, Reagan's a good dude. You probably still hate him.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
still
I
hate
mean,
him.
it's Ronald Reagan, bro.
What's so great about Ronald Reagan?
I don't know, Soviet Union's gone, shit like that.
He didn't do that. They spent their way out of.
I think he did a pretty good job of that.
He did. He wasn't.
Whatever. I'm not
terrible.
going to get into this with you because literally, if it was a war against Reagan supporters and non-Reagan supporters, you guys would lose quickly because there's only like 7 of you in the country.
Reagan raised taxes, I believe, too, right?
Yeah, I'm not like a Reagan guy because he didn't raise taxes. I'm a Reagan guy because he was awesome.
Springtime of hope. Some lights seem eternal.
You know, Reagan was president. Like Rocky was big. Red Dawn was a great movie.
Red Dawn is a perfect film.
It's the best film that's ever been created besides Hot Tub Time Machine.
Thank you.
As a kid, I remember sitting in high school daydreaming that like the Russians are attacking. Like the army comes by and they're like, we need a guy to defend the school. And of course they pick me, throw me in M4 and I just wasting Russians that are coming to the school. And all the girls are like, oh, Adam. I was a Civil War reenactor at 16 as well. So let's keep going. It was the North, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I would not have told you that I was a Civil War reenactor just now. And so I got accepted at Illinois State. I had a friend that said to me, like, you should run for the county board. I don't think he meant it like, you should run for the county board. I think he meant it like, you should run. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And I ran. I won. And that was the beginning of kind of my foray into politics. 9/11 happens and I'm just like, I'm going to go try to fly. And then I remember in 2006 when I was in Milwaukee, I'd just gotten back out of pilot training. There was a stabbing incident in which I had to intervene on a guy murdering his girlfriend. I had left a German restaurant 12:26 in the morning, and I'm walking to my car, I hear a commotion, and this girl's running at me, holding her throat, bleeding out, really. They say in a crisis, half of the people run, 40% freeze, and 10% act. I felt every one of those emotions. If somebody would have whispered run to me, I would have run. But there were two immediate thoughts that went through my head. The first one was like, if I act, I'm gonna die. The second one was, if I watch this lady die, and I did nothing, I can't live with myself the rest of my life. It was a close grapple. Dude was bigger than me. I had his knife hand, and I remember consciously feeling that knife hand now trying to stab me. And I have to win this. It's not a matter of pride now, it's a matter of life to win. I got him down, and I had made the decision in my mind to kill him. And I was justified in that, but I had no extra arms to do any killing. I had one pinning his hand down, the other had his hair, and I was smashing his face into the ground. Eventually, Megan, who was the girl I was with that night, came over. I told her to kick the knife out. She did that. And the police showed up not much longer after that. They arrest him. I have blood all over me, and it was just from him that he got from the brief interaction with her. That's how much she was bleeding. She ended up with 110 stitches in her neck. The shirt that had all the blood, I could not bring myself to wash it for some reason. It stayed in a corner in my room. And then it was about 2 or 3 months later, I started to realize I had some PTSD from it. That moment on that street in Milwaukee utterly changed my life. Do I think I would have been sitting here today talking about what happened in my congressional career, or if I even would have had a congressional career without the incident in Milwaukee? Probably not. And now I'm fighting for the soul of a party that I think is going to be an important political party in this country. But if the party doesn't want to be fought for, it's tough to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, there were definitely moments where I didn't want to be there anymore. Like, there were moments where I would have wanted to quit. What
was the moment you wanted to quit?
I mean, really, probably that time frame between when we had our first hearing and then we had our set of hearings. If you notice, we had one hearing in August, and we haven't had a hearing since. The vast majority of our work on the committee is depositions, meetings behind the scene. It's an investigation, right? So despite what you see on TV, we all generally can, when the doors close, can work together well on any committee. But yeah, going into it, I mean, I think we were very much on edge, everybody, about this cannot descend into anything partisan. A couple times Raskin tried. He had said at one point, well, part of our recommendations have to be to get rid of the Electoral College. And we're like, listen, we don't disagree. This isn't the place for that. He was really trying to push his right to ask questions at every hearing. He's very smart, and he'll make sure you know that. You have Stephanie Murphy, who was always defend her right, and if she felt she was being disregarded, was clear about that. Elaine Loria, my fellow veteran, really good person. Zoe Lofgren, she was, in essence, the kind of the bridge to Nancy Pelosi. Benny, he's the one that can take anytime conflicts exist on the committee and really allow it to kind of burn itself out before having to bring it to a head. He gets a lot of credit for allowing Liz to take the lead she did, because he could have said no. Obviously, Liz is the bulldog. You couldn't challenge her on the facts because she knew the facts. She would rub people the wrong way sometimes, but she did it in a way that everybody respected because, you know, she knew her stuff.
Do you believe the violence on January 6th was justified morally?
Take the fifth.
You believe the violence on January 6th was justified legally?
Fifth.
Mr. Stone, did you have any role in planning for the violence on January 6th?
Once again, I will assert my Fifth Amendment right to decline to answer your question.
Fifth.
Fifth.
General Flynn, do you believe in the peaceful transition of power in the United States of America?
The fifth.
Problem is, in the committee, you know, every day we're kind of finding a new string, right? And if you pull on that string, that means new subpoenas, which means new information. And there's a point at which this thing could go on for 2 or 3 years. But if the Republicans take power, which they likely will in January, you know, that's the clock anyway. So, but I think we have a lot of information to be able to tell a good story. Not a good story, a bad story, but in a good way. Well, if the Republicans take over, they will kill this.
We have got a January 6th hearing that is going to start in like an hour, focused on something that happened 18 months ago.
You know, the polls have said people have moved on from January 6th. That's a frustration leading up to it, and just, is anybody going to pay attention?
Breaking tonight, the dullest, the most boring, multi-hour Democratic fundraiser masquerading as a January 6th hearing.
You really didn't think anyone was going to pay attention. And
No, I told you, I think the moment before the first hearing, I thought it was going to fail. I was worried about it.
Columnist David Brooks writes for the New York Times, a piece entitled, "The January 6th Committee Has Already Blown It."
And I knew that, you know, obviously I was going to be judged by what happened. We all kind of line up on that door off the anteroom. And there's a countdown because it's timed with the national TV, and somebody at the front's like, okay, you know, 15 seconds, and we're all kind of getting in line, and 10, 9, 5, and then 2 staffers, boom, open the doors. Dead silence. All you hear is cameras clicking, like something like out of 1920s. Liz sat next to me, so I'm like, am I an asshole if I sit down before she does? And I've done hearings a million times, but this had a feeling that was very different.
Tonight, you will see never-before-seen footage of the brutal attack on our Capitol. Those who invaded our Capitol and battled law enforcement for hours were motivated by what President Trump had told them, that the election was stolen and that he was the rightful president.
Now, a central question is whether the attack on the Capitol was coordinated and planned.
You know, Trump has only asked me for 2 things. He asked me for my vote, and he asked me to come on January 6th.
I remember Donald Trump telling people to be there.
Personally asked for us to come to D.C.
I know why I was there, and that's because he called me there.
Boys, stand back and stand by.
Be there, he instructed them. Will be wild. This tweet initiated a chain of events.
They viewed this tweet as a call to arms.
It's either President Trump is encouraged and bolstered, strengthened to do what he must do, or we wind up in a bloody fight. We all know that. The fight's coming.
On January 5th, the night before the attack, you were with the head of the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio. What happened?
We encountered Mr. Stuart Rhodes from the Oath Keepers, drove down into the parking garage,
and film Mr. Tarrio and Mr. Rhodes.
What you witness is what a coordinated and planned effort would look like.
All hell is going to break loose tomorrow. Just understand this. All hell is going to break loose tomorrow.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
The crowd turned from protesters to rioters to insurrectionists.
President Trump believed his supporters at the Capitol, and I quote, "We're doing what they should be doing." The attack on our Capitol was not a spontaneous riot. President Trump summoned the mob, assembled the mob, and lit the flame of this attack. Washington set the indispensable example of the peaceful transfer of power, what President Reagan called nothing less than a miracle. The sacred obligation to defend this peaceful transfer of power has been honored by every American president, except one.
As we walked out, we all just kind of stand around and talk, and there's a little bit of buzz in the room.
This was not like a typical congressional hearing where you might see people kind of drop off or want to leave the room.
We just sit there and hear what the media is saying, and it's kind of like, we did good.
I have no idea how this will play in the rest of the country, but in that hearing room, the video that was shown hit like a sledgehammer.
It's like a plant from Nancy Pelosi. It just goes to show we're in a bizarro world a little bit.
Hey, that was better than you thought.
It was a blowout success, but you know, one of my biggest disappointments was Fox not carrying it, because those are the people that need to watch it.
Last night, more than 19 million people watched the January 6th committee's first public hearing. All of the major news networks aired it except for one. Of course, the odd one out, as you can see there in the center, is Fox News.
You really should care about January 6th because democracy. The overwhelming majority of Americans don't care about January 6th.
There are people that have been lied to and abused by the former president and convinced that no matter what facts are in front of their face, he is the most trustworthy person. I don't know how long it's going to take to open those folks' eyes, but we're certainly going to put the truth in front of them. That's what we can do.
That's just such a tone-deaf comment to make from Speaker Pelosi. She says nobody's in danger. I mean, we had an armed gunman show up to Justice Kavanaugh's house with the intent to kill him.
And we've just gone through the first day of the January 6th committee hearings airing last night. What is more important to your constituents in Texas, inflation and gas prices, or January the 6th?
Well, inflation obviously ranks way, way, way up.
A transfer of power cannot happen like this ever again, because we will not be a functioning democracy with any more of these.
That's a huge audience that we want to make sure sees the hearings and sees the facts that are coming out from the hearings. So now they've moved several of the hearings to the afternoon so that Fox does cover them.
Okay, I can understand why you'd want Fox to cover the hearings, but from my perspective, who cares? You're not changing anyone's mind on Fox anyway. I mean, you've got Republican after Republican testifying that they didn't believe in the big lie. You've got Trump's Attorney General, Bill Barr.
I told him that the stuff that his people were shoveling out to the public was bullshit. I mean, that the claims of fraud were bullshit. And I didn't want to be a part of it.
You've got Eric Hirschman, Trump's White House attorney.
She says, well, the judges are corrupt. And I was like, everyone? Every single case that you've done in the country you guys lost, every one of them is corrupt? Even the ones we appointed?
You've got fiercely conservative Republican officials from Arizona and Georgia.
President Biden carried the state of Georgia by approximately 12,000 votes.
Look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
And rounding out the batting order is the what? Pomegranate red Republican leadership of the Department of Justice.
The president turned to me and he said, well, one thing we know is you, Rosen, you aren't going to do anything. You don't even agree with the claims of election fraud.
The conversation at this point was really about
whether the president should remove Jeff Rosen and replace him. And
that's a coup.
I think understood
That's like
that letter would go out.
It's like three different coups happening all at the same time.
How did the president respond to that, sir?
He responded very quickly and said, essentially, that's not what I'm asking you to do. What I'm just asking you to do is just say it was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman.
Just say the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman. Mr. Donahue, that's a direct quote from President Trump, correct?
That's an exact quote from the president, yes.
There's obviously been a lot of misinformation out there, but to hear it from Republican appointees, people appointed by Donald Trump, how he tried to use the Department of Justice as yet another prong to overcome the will of the people. It was powerful. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
So again, my point is, you have a parade of Republicans damning the president's lies, but what's the hot take over at Fox? We've heard it all before, and the hearings are overproduced.
This show trial is not reassuring anyone. It's a political theater, 100% Hollywood production with all the creative license that would go along with that.
Yeah, that's the criticism that comes from somebody that's getting their ass handed to them. Yeah, you could say it's overproduced, but it's truth. When that criticism came, I'm like, oh, that means you're losing.
Okay, but what are they losing? You keep saying that the goal of the hearings is to tell the story of Jan 6. But we're talking about a criminal conspiracy, and I don't understand why you're not all over criminal referrals.
Yeah, my frustration with it is that it becomes the MSNBC talking point. And I got to ask about this every day. Are you going to make criminal referrals?
Can you talk about the issue of criminality? Do you see things heading that way for former President Trump?
And I'm like, it doesn't matter.
But Congressman, can't you make criminal referrals to the DOJ?
Yeah, we can refer.
Where do you stand on that, the referral? What do you think about? What's the conversation will be about?
You know, we're sitting here showing these things that are happening, and people are like, are you going to make criminal referrals? Like, maybe, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Whether we make a criminal referral or not has nothing to do with whether he's criminally liable or whether DOJ takes it up. So that was the frustration, because there was so much more to do. You know, one of the things I've come to think about and realize is, short of staff members and Congress people on the Hill.
Why at the time that happened, you Destiny, we're not interested in it only sometime after Genuine Question? Because when I say most Americans don't know anything about like civil process or procedure, or I say civil, or I mean civics, like how the government works, or like what the fucking government even does. That included me like 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, or whatever. I just didn't know much in terms of civics for why any of this was that big of a deal, or how any of this was that different than anything else. And then the liberal media was so mind-fucked by the Trump derangement syndrome accusations that they were too scared to go as hard about it as they should have as well.
Nobody really knows what happened. And not just the violence, but like the stuff that led up to it. But you see it all together and it's like, oh yeah, that's a big deal, you know.
It was funny because the guy that had been outside every morning, so they rotate and it's like 12-hour shifts. So in the morning it's always the same guy. So he asked, how was Christian doing? How did Christian do last night? How is he doing with his sleep training? So I thought it was funny.
They're all invested. All the security is invested in his sleep.
Security? You guys have security?
Yeah, we do. Uh-huh.
In Illinois?
Yeah, we had to put security on our house. So we have a company that's there basically like 24 hours now.
Okay.
Yeah, because people want to kill me. So, you know, that sucks, right?
Surprise announcement from the January 6th committee just this afternoon, stunning a lot of the reporters who've covered this very thing. The House Select Committee on January 6th announced that it would be holding a surprise hearing tomorrow.
This will be a surprise witness heading into tomorrow's hearing.
Have a seat. I'm just sit right there, but whatever. What's up, dude?
We met with her yesterday, and we think she's going to do great. It's clear. I think she's got. I mean, you probably know her better than us, but from having spent time with her.
Not really. I've only met her like once or twice.
Well, I mean, from her telling, she appreciates the consideration that you've given her.
Today, the January 6th committee will hear live testimony from a White House advisor who was right there in the West Wing on January 6th and in the days and weeks leading up to the attack on the Capitol.
The witness will please stand and raise her right hand.
Her name is Cassidy Hutchinson. She was an assistant to Mark Meadows, the chief of staff, and she was right there in the West Wing while the Capitol was under attack. Based on what she has already told the committee, investigators tell me that they believe that she will truly be one of the star witnesses of this investigation.
When we were in the offstage announce area tent behind the stage, he was very concerned about the shot, meaning the photograph that we would get, because the rally space wasn't full. And he was angry that we weren't letting people through the mags with weapons, what the Secret Service deems as weapons and our weapons.
Ms. Hutchinson, I just want to confirm that that is when you heard the president say the people with weapons weren't there to hurt him and that he wanted the Secret Service to remove the magnetometers.
That's correct. In the photos that you displayed, we were standing towards the front of the tent with the TVs, really close to where he would walk out to go onto the stage. These conversations happened 2 to 3 minutes before he took the stage that morning. I was in the vicinity of a conversation where I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away. Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here. Let the people in. Take the effing mags away. Then they can march to the Capitol.
Wait, did the
President Trump
Sentinel
expressed to
corpse thing
multiple
drop?
White House aides
Where's the corpse?
that he wanted to go to the Capitol after his speech. We know that White House counsel Pat Cipollone was concerned about the legal implications of such a trip. Is that correct?
That's correct. Mr. Cipollone said something to the effect of, please make sure we don't go up to the Capitol, Cassidy. We're going to get charged with every crime imaginable if we make that movement happen.
Hutchinson's testimony was such a game changer, even Fox News didn't know how to spin it.
What was so compelling, I think, is how it was laid out. But the testimony in and of itself is really, really powerful. Sandra, are you still here?
Indeed, yes, I am here.
How do you feel about the speed with which the Justice Department is bringing indictments of any kind?
I'm frustrated at the speed. I know they have a job to do, but when you try to overthrow the will of the people and you try a coup in the United States government, you have to pay for that, period. That's what we require. It's a weird feeling to kind of go out and know that how polarizing of a figure you are. All of us in politics want to be better known because it makes us more effective. Once you vote for the committee, particularly once the hearings are happening, the kind of fame you get is very different. Your social circle shifts. You lose all your friends. You gain some new ones, but you don't really trust them because they only like you because you're speaking out. So until they find out you're still conservative, they're like, oh, well, you're just no different. And
I mean, you lost all your friends.
Yeah, I lost all my friends.
Because you keep saying you, but I still have all my friends. Like, what is this? Like, you say you a lot. Like, what is this?
I think there's a level of protection in when I say like you, and I'm talking about me.
Right.
There's probably a bit of a level of protection in that.
What's
because
that? What's that about?
I have come to realize in the last few, whatever, weeks, months, like how much of an impact this has really had on me. People tell me, what you did is heroic. And I appreciate it. It's nice to say. But I get this sense of like a battle in World War II and there's this tank, right, rolling through this battle. And it's getting the shit kicked out of it. Just getting beat up, scarred. Rolls out the other end of this battle. And everybody's like, look at that tank. It survived, like it's a heroic tank. But that doesn't mean it's not scarred. And it doesn't mean it's ready to fight again.
You're the tank.
I feel like the tank. In the battle, you don't think about it. All you're thinking about is like, this is what's in front of me. This is what we have to do. You know, here's the committee, here's the next hearing, here's this report that's due. And then it's all done, and you're sitting there in this tank, and then the weight of what happens sits on you. And so I think sometimes I don't necessarily understand if I say like you have to psychologically, I have to psychologically protect myself from some of those impacts. And that's something I'm working through.
Okay. Andrew, Paul. Hey, can I talk to you? Have a donut.
I can't be eating more sugar, but I will.
I'm leaving.
Congratulations.
So,
when?
next month, early next month. So, next week will be, well, it'll be our last week, like, in the office together. So, anyway, I just want to let you know. But I've really
Can you
enjoyed
tell us
working
where
with
you're
this.
going yet, or?
I'm actually not going anywhere yet. I've been on the Hill for almost 12 years.
So on our,
It's a long time. It's like a line from Miss Congeniality, like, I am the job, I am the job. And so much of what I've been, the last 12 years is a Capitol Hill staffer. This is my world, basically. This job has been, like I said, really rewarding, but it's also really taxing. Now, you can feel free to cry if you want. I mean, just get it all out, whatever you feels best, but...
My announcement will be coming soon after, so it's gonna be a rodeo the last few, whatever. I don't even know what. I'm gonna be screwed, man.
That's the spirit. I had told the congressman Tuesday evening.
So I heard the news. I know, I heard the news. I think we get it. Like, we need a break. Everybody needs a break. It's just been a lot. Like, rest and think and whatever you feel makes you happy. Go for it.
Thank you. I love you guys. I did not cry, so good job, me. I feel like I'm going to leave this place in a really a good spot for the congressman, and that's all I can do, right? I mean, Thursday's hearing, it's no longer in prime time because the NBA games are happening. Finish up the race as best I can and walk out with my head held high. All right, so this is for hearing 7.
Oh, my Lord.
I know.
Because what you will learn is that for 187 minutes over 3 hours, President Trump refused to tell the mob to stop the carnage and leave the Capitol despite emphatic pleas from staff, family, and advisors.
What you will learn is that President Trump sat in his dining room and watched the attack on television, while his senior-most staff, closest advisors, and family members begged him to do what is expected of any American president.
1 week after the attack, Republican leader Kevin McCarthy acknowledged the simple truth.
The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters. He should have immediately denounced the mob when he saw what was unfolding.
Leader McCarthy, who I had a good relationship with, he told me he was getting really ugly over at the Capitol and said, please, anything you can do to help, I would appreciate it. They were scared.
Think about that. Leader McCarthy, who was one of the president's strongest supporters, was scared and begging for help. President Trump turned him down, and he kept resisting for another almost 2 hours.
President Trump finally agreed to record an address to the nation the evening of January 7th because of concerns he might be removed from power under the 25th Amendment.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday, and to those who broke the law, you will pay. You do not represent our movement, you do not represent our country, and if you broke the law, you can't say that. I already said you will pay. That this election is now over. Congress has certified the results. I don't want to say the election's over, I just want to say Congress has certified the results without saying the election's over, okay?
January 7th, by the way.
Whatever your politics, whatever you think about the outcome of the election, we as Americans must all agree on this. Donald Trump's conduct on January 6th was a supreme violation of his oath of office and a complete dereliction of his duty to our nation.
It is a stain on our history. It is a dishonor to all those who have sacrificed and died in service of our democracy. Oaths matter. Character matters. Truth matters. If we do not renew our faith and commitment to these principles, this great experiment of ours, our shining beacon on a hill, will not endure. I yield to the gentlewoman.
There are people down here.
I have no ammo.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I will definitely pass it on to him.
What do you mean by no ammo?
Thank you so much
like
for
literally
calling and
none?
sharing.
Or-
Have a wonderful day.
Bye. Are they saying peaceful? I can't hear them.
Congressman Kinzinger's office, how can I help you? Thank you very much, sir. He will really appreciate this. Thank you very much for sharing. I will definitely pass it on.
It was a big night. I'm glad we did it in prime time. I'm glad, it was a success. And it's not about the entertainment value. It was about putting that story out in front of people. Like, you had a guy that literally watched this happen and did nothing. And it's like, we assume, living in the bubble of DC, that people all knew that. They didn't. Because I was totally wrong about the hearings. I thought that they weren't going to go well. They're doing well. I was wrong. I am very convinced that once, particularly Cassidy Hutchinson came, we have altered the course of what the Justice Department's going to do.
You seem kind of happy.
No, lies.
You seem kind of enjoying the McCarthy stuff. Is that just my imagination?
No, that was true. I enjoyed McCarthy stuff. Look, the guy is like, I think what hurts me a lot about McCarthy is that he and I were friends. And that doesn't like hurt me personally on that. I can deal with it. But just to see the level of complete groveling he has done and the damage he's done to our country is so disappointing. And it's just so foreign to how I think. I mean, I'm not trying to sound like Jesus here, but it truly is just foreign to how I even think. And so yeah, when I can expose that, it's fun.
We're going to begin this morning with the latest on the midterm elections.
I want to see this one. What the fuck is the thing? Okay.
That's right. NBC News is projecting that Republicans will control the House for the next 2 years after winning enough seats to have a majority in the chamber.
Jay, with Republicans set to take control of the House, Kevin McCarthy appears to be in line to take over as Speaker. So what comes next for him and the party under his leadership?
House Republicans have already said that they plan to dissolve the January 6th committee investigating the attack on the Capitol as it stands right now.
Did you lose in that moment?
Today's GOP agenda rollout by Leader McCarthy was an opportunity squandered by his decision to once again bow to the MAGA crowd for his own political gain. I'd ask you just not to report this part before the hearing. I think we've proven our case. The difficult part of where we're at now is wrapping this up, right? How do you, because there's still loose ends, but there's some loose ends that we just may not know that DOJ will have to try to track.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the moment I lost. And now, it's like kind of the end of the battle, but where we sit today, when I'm out of the combat, let's call it, I've had the luxury to go back to the beginning and play through it. It's like always there's moments in history where you're like, oh, if something would have gone a little different. And this is one that's haunted me of recent, which is after the impeachment vote, there was such a moment where nobody knew what was going on. I think back to that and I'm like, wait, there was that moment where had we taken charge, we might have won. And I think it's just recently where I kind of went back, put myself in that moment, and I'm like, could things have been different? I actually think they could have been. After the 10 of us voted to impeach, I was trying to convince the other 9 impeachers to expand out and basically take over the Republican caucus. And I think we could have done it. Like, that was an immense amount of moral authority. Like, let's all join forces together. Let's say we're in charge here. Just declaring we're in charge. We had this idea of being the clearinghouse for downtown. Downtown being the code word for the PACs to give the money.
America's biggest corporations are backing away from politics.
Because these PACs all made the announcement that they wouldn't support the people that voted against certifying the election.
Marriott among those turning off money to 147 Republicans who voted against certification.
Suspend donations to members of Congress who voted to overturn the
question campaigns are asking themselves is how long is this going to last?
It lasted a whole year. But, you know, they made that decision. Had we then taken that decision, matrix, and said, okay, we will clear whether somebody is pro-democracy or not. Kind of what Heritage Action does. They put out a scorecard. The 10 of us are going to put out a scorecard. We're going to say Jim Jordan gets a 0 for defending freedom, so all that money doesn't go to him. Toyota, here's the 86 Republicans that have basically committed to the defense of democracy. Toyota's like, great, let's give them all checks. You could see a scenario where now all of a sudden people like trying to get on our good side, you know, $300,000 raised is the difference between I support democracy and I don't. They're going to start openly supporting democracy. Then it actually becomes, you take full accountability of what happened on January 6th. You have a mea culpa to the American people. Look, we were wrong. People lied to you about this. The election was legitimate. And by the way, here is our agenda now for the future. Here is how we're going to focus on uniting people. Yeah, you would have half of the party upset because they still got a little bit of thing for Donald Trump, but that dissipates. In order for somebody to hero worship somebody, you have to basically keep feeding them material. For at least 3 or 4 weeks, he didn't say a word. And that would have been all us. Now you have actually a constant, steady stream of a positive agenda. The deniers of what happened on January 6th are outnumbered by the people that say, here's the truth of what happened. But the people that also voted to impeach, they just kind of went silent. We missed a historic opportunity to at least make an effort to overthrow McCarthy, to change the future of that party, and instead we had silence for 3 weeks, and in that vacuum, McCarthy goes to Mar-a-Lago.
So where are we going?
So this is the departing member center. It's where offices go to die. Not actually every departing member. This is the office that they get for the lame duck session, which is the session in between Thanksgiving and the New Year and when the new Congress is sworn in, which is what we're in right now. Yeah, so this is our space. This is our cubicle. This is the cubicle.
This is where Adam goes.
No. The congressman will not be sitting here.
What?
No. No, we got a space on the 3rd floor.
Yeah, I sit on
Yeah.
over here.
Speaker Pelosi was kind enough to give us the office, so
You
we're
guys want
lucky.
to kill him?
Why not? Let's go.
Isn't this
Wait, I got
cool?
a fucking
Being
huge
this
bomb
little
chasing
tiny
me.
place. From the speaker.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, someone at your party has its privileges, huh?
I saw him over here. Someone over here.
I want to get a clip of what Senator Durbin
He's
sent
back there.
over as his holiday gift.
So wait, is that it? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were setting me up for something cool.
It's like nice of him to send a gift, but dude, like that's really tiny.
Yeah. They made a big deal about delivering it to us.
Did they?
Of course, I didn't send anybody gifts, so whatever.
Yeah, but you put your career on the line.
Yeah,
What'd you
that's
get?
right. And I get popcorn for it. Like, come on, man. Give me something better than that. Give me a 10 of popcorn.
He's lit up. Here. He's here. He's running
Oh,
away.
well. It's one less thing I have to take home.
Yeah.
Rush him. He's low.
I remember I missed my very first vote in Congress because I thought we could just come back to the office. That doesn't seem like that long ago, but that was 12 years. I didn't imagine that January 6th would be the thing that would cost me. All right, ready?
I'm ready.
Mr. Speaker, it's with great pride that I rise today to lead this special order. For the half hour, my colleagues will join me to reflect on their time serving the American people and the U.S. Constitution. These members who swore and upheld their oath of office will be remembered by history as patriots who placed their country over party.
I move that the committee favorably report to the House the Select Committee's final report, which includes the committee's legislative recommendations and criminal referrals of Donald J. Trump and others.
Returning from Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom,
You can come check this
I
guy.
ran for
There might be
Congress
stuff
and
you
won.
want.
While at the time I didn't have a family, I promised myself to leave them a better country than the one I inherited. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, I cannot in good conscience say that I have done that. Had I known that standing up for truth would cost me my job, friendships, and even my personal security, I would, without hesitation, do it all over again. And even though my time in Congress is coming to an end, I stand here renewing that promise I made over a decade ago to leave this country a far better place than the one I inherited, not only for my son Christian, but also for future generations.
Ms. Cheney.
Aye.
Ms. Lofgren.
Aye.
Mr. Schiff.
Aye.
Mr. Aguilar.
Aye.
Mrs. Murphy.
Aye.
Mrs. Luria.
Aye.
Mr. Raskin.
Aye.
Mr. Kinzinger.
Kinzinger, aye.
Mr. Chairman, you are not recorded.
Chair votes aye.
And last but not least, I need to thank my staff, both past and present. They have become like family, and I will never forget the work that they have done in service to me and in service to their nation. How long did that go?
11 minutes.
Yeah, what did you think it was, 7?
The Select Committee stands adjourned.
It's been like the longest goodbye, you know, it's been months where I know I'm leaving.
Hey, let me know.
You can mourn about it whenever you want, but right now I'm in the mode of like, just get out of here.
What the hell's going on?
My car sucks. It's out of juice.
Evidence to the overt actions that he committed.
See you, fellas.
It's really sad that few people with strong moral foundations on the Republican Party feel the need to leave politics. I mean, there's no way they can't continue, right? MAGA destroyed these people. Same thing with
Any courage I
with
show
Liz Cheney
just
as well,
comes
right?
from, I think, saying I always want to be able to look at myself in the mirror. You know, I had a situation in Milwaukee, obviously, where a guy was killing his girlfriend, and I don't know if I'd ever make that decision again, but at the time I made the decision to stop it. You know, going to war, well, millions of people make those decisions every day, but in terms of the politics of it, I really don't believe what I did was courageous. I think it's just I'm surrounded by cowardice. They don't know it's cowardice, but it is. So then when somebody, me or Liz Cheney, speaks out in the absence of other people doing what their basic job is, it appears like courage.
Okay, I agree. You and Liz were just doing your job, and everyone who didn't was a coward. But, you know, what happened in Milwaukee, what happened there, that was courageous.
I didn't make the conscious decision to do something. It was like I guess how I'd been trained to an extent in terms of how to think, what I believe my moral priorities were, that brief second of like, what's the rest of my life gonna look like from this? I made the right decision. A decision I shouldn't have made because I should have died. You'd never fight anybody with a knife. But when you make a decision that to give your life up, God, I think when you make a decision to give your life up for a stranger, I mean, how can't that change you? And I hope I never want to do that again. And I hope that, I don't know if that ever happened again to me, I'm not sure I'd make the same decision. I met her later, like a year later, and I don't know. What can you say about that? Except it's an honor to have been at that, to be able to act, and yet it's like this creeping cynicism after like the January 6th stuff of, why would you try to defend these people, right? Like they hate you, they want to kill you. Right? Everybody's self-centered. And I think that's the fight now of my next part of life, is fighting against that cynicism, because I don't want in the second half of my life to not be willing to put my life on the line for people.
Even MAGA people.
Yeah, even MAGA people. Maybe especially them, because they need some, I don't know, some inspiration or something that they're not getting. They're being lied to and abused. But that's the fight of the second part of my life, is making sure I can keep my head above water and find that inspiration again.
You just probably need a little break first, huh?
I'm good.
All right, well, thank you, brother.
Yeah, dude.
Listen, if this documentary helps you win the presidency and you enact horrible conservative policies, I swear to fucking God.
Oh, I will call my first horrible policy the Steve Pink conservative future bill.
I think it's a cute movie.